All right, so since the end of the class, the only thing I've done is turned on the computer, made sure it's connected to the Carbide machine, turned the Carbide machine on. You can see the little blue light there. Again, it connects via USB on the back here, which is connected on the back side of this computer, so you can't see that. I've also taken my phone out of my phone case and I've attached double-sided adhesive strips to the phone case so I can fixture it into the machine. So I'm going to do that real quick. Open this up, take the backing off of the strips, and then I'm just going to try and line this up. I do want this to be fairly well lined up, so that way the x-axis of the machine and the kind of length of my phone are lined up, and I want to make sure that it's reasonably well secured. I need this to not move around as I am machining the process. So that's in place. I did use a foam block to act as a spacer between the back of my phone, or the inside of my phone case, and the board, so that way I could attach the kind of the top side to my board, because I want the engraving to be on the outside of the case. I guess it would look fine if the engraving was on the inside of the case too, but then I gotta worry about it being like mirrored or something. I don't know. So I'm just gonna do it on the outside. Again, that foam block just acts as a spacer, so that way it is nice and solid right there. On the computer, again, I've put in my thumb drive that has the NC file, the machine code for the Carbide. And one thing I didn't mention is that you do need to run the post processor. So when you go to save as, that creates the file, but you actually have to run it to generate the code that goes into the file. Make sure that process completes running before you eject your drive. And you should check and make sure that you have a non-0 kilobyte file on there when you do that. I'm going to close this to keep it safe, and then I'm going to run the Carbide Motion, which is the controller for the Carbide 3D Nomad. I'm going to connect. Again, this needs to be on before you can connect. And then I need to make sure that my 0 position relative to my part and the 0 position for my bit are the same. So I'm going to jog the machine to set the 0 position. So basically got to measure all the tool and stuff first. I actually didn't swap out the tool. I have a 1/8 ball nose bit there instead of the flat bit. It'll still work, it's just going to have a rounded bottom instead of a square bottom when I run it. And I'm just being lazy as far as not turning it out. Alright, I'm going to set this to fast, and I'm just going to get kind of close to where I want to be. Move the negative X direction first. That's pretty close. Moving the Y. Again, I want to have this zeroed relative to where my part was to start off with. And then as I get closer to my 0 position, I'll go to slow, and again, I'll try and fine tune this just a little bit. And I want to try and get to the point where, I just can't see that very well because of the glare. The bit here is just barely touching my part. So that looks pretty good. I might come up just a tiny bit from that, just because I don't want to drag across the top. So that's just barely not touching the part. I'm also going to come over a little bit, because I did center that in relative to the corner of my phone, and I measured it from the outside. But I wanted my height position to be flush with the bottom. So this is kind of on the outside corner if you imagine that this wasn't rounded. And you can kind of see that reasonably good from your guys' perspective there. Yeah, that looks okay. All right. I'm not too concerned about where that's actually going to be. So I'm going to use that to set the 0. I'll go back over here to the screen so you guys can see that. Those are my controls. And I'm going to set 0. I'm going to 0 all and hit done. Now the 0 position on the machine matches the 0 position that I set when I set my coordinate system in the machine setup, right? Now that that's set up, I'm going to close this back up. I may take my phone off of the mount here, so that way we can kind of go around the glare a little bit. on the machine here. I'm going to load in the code that I want to run. So I'm going to go to my removal drive. There's my phone engraving. I'm going to hit open. So you can see it's loaded into the file. And I can hit run. And I'm going to load the project, run again. Oh, here I gotta hit play. Sorry, there we go. And it's moving. It's going to start by doing the same homing process I did last time. It'll probably ask me to put in the bit that I had programmed in the code. Since it's tool number 1, because I didn't define the name of the tool inside my my crib. So I'll just hit continue. And I only had one tool defined, so I know which tool this is going to be, or at least which one that it thinks it is. And always a good idea when you're first starting this out, to be ready to pause or stop the machine in case something goes terribly wrong. I didn't actually measure the thickness of my phone case, so this goes all the way through my phone case. I'll be a little disappointed. So it set up a facing operation for the top of my part. I don't know why. It was part of the irregular pocket feature, so I didn't take it out. But I probably should have taken it out, because we're going to have all these kind of roughness. Maybe it'll look cool. And then it's going to be the finishing cut. And then on the inside, and that's just cleaning up the previous cuts. And then do the same thing for the other D and the R. That first pass was a little aggressive, maybe. If I knew how to segment and time-lapse videos in YouTube, I probably would do that. But you guys can always use the speed controls to make this go faster if you want. There's the dot. Again, I just use the default order from this. If I had one, the D, and then the R, and then the dot, and then the D, I could have manually set that order. Ding. Complete. So I hope you can see that that process is generally a lot faster than 3D printing. I'm going to clean up my mess, which you should always do if you're using this. Got the vacuum right here. The vacuum's not here, it's over in the other room. One of the advantages of cleaning up with the vacuum before you take your part off is that you have to worry less about getting your hands dirty, right? I gotta get the sticky tape off of that. But you can see it turned out pretty good. Got a nice little engraving on my phone. So hopefully that was fun for you all. If you have questions, let me know.